Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. So we'll start this episode with an ad from from our sponsors. We don't have any sponsors, but it's more like from our opponent team. If you guys are going through any funk that any opponent team is going through, any problem, just come and play Arsenal or invite us to play you so that you would get 3 points and get out of a funk. That's the whole point of the podcast. So we are literally very, 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 very bad mood right now. And but we have got Arun back with us. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
And Bob back. Hi, Bob.
Hey, man.
So instead of going for the whole, like, share, and subscribe, we started with the whole potential sponsors for our podcast. So
actually, on that note, Koeman saw that a long time back when he was having a terrible run at Southampton. He kind of used this to kickstart his career, and then that took him to Everton and then after to Barcelona. So yeah, we've the stepping stone for many players, many managers, I should say. And we've saved a lot of them from losing their jobs. Even in this case, we've saved Rafa Benitez from losing his job.
Yeah, if only Ole stuck around for Arsenal game, he would have been saved as well. So we are sending out the good vibes across all PL teams so that you could, provide a sponsor for us.
Everyone gets 3 points.
Everyone gets 3 points, but literally, Arun. So this Everton game has brought in a very new low, or is it a new low, or is it more like a recurring low for Arsenal? So what are your thoughts on the game, like right after the game and right now after, because we are recording after like a couple of days? So
Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow, Russian Doll, Arsenal. That's all I can say. We've seen this movie a lot of times before. We've been watching this movie since 2006. When we show a little bit of promise, we get excited. Depending on which season we are in, our objectives and goals have been changing. So this small runs that we get happy thinking that we are going to actually achieve our objective. In the beginning, it was titles, and then it became top 4, and then became top 6. Now it's respectable wins. So my first reaction to this, oh my God, I've seen this movie before, and I hope I don't have to keep seeing this movie again and again this season. That's my first reaction.
But Bob, first question, right? Did you watch Everton game actually?
Bitter news is yes, I did have to endure all those.
No, for all the listeners, right? Bob is on vacation actually, so he's joining on his vacation. So
that's the curse of following the club. I've known that long enough. So if I were to summarize my reactions, how I felt immediately after the game and how I'm feeling now. Actually, I felt disappointed that we were not able to come back with a win against a very poor Everton side immediately after the game, and I feel terrible now. Like my mood has actually gone from bad to worse. Like when I reflect back, I can't even digest the fact that we managed to lose against that team. Really, that team
where fans were walking out after 27 minutes. A staged protest was happening before the game.
Those idiots, they should have stayed on for the remaining part of the game.
And they were not cheering until they scored the second goal. That's how bad the fans' reaction was. And I mean, Everton fans' reaction was before and after the game. And still, Arsenal managed to screw that up. But let's get the obvious thing out of the way, right? Bob, I'll just stick with you for this one, right? The Godfrey incidents. It has nothing to do with the game result. It has nothing to do with how Arsenal play, but it did happen, and we have to discuss that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it has nothing to do with the result and all those sort of things, but it has everything to do with that stupid.
Mike Dean.
I don't want to swear here.
You can actually. Mike Dean. Mike Dean deserves to be sworn about. But this has been happening, and it is.
And his shithousery just keeps increasing against, us every time. Seriously, I can't digest the fact that Godfrey managed to go out of the game, not even with an yellow card. It just makes me wild, seriously, thinking about it. I mean, in what way it could not be a red card? I mean, forget about anything. It barely deserves a red card. It was a clear stamp.
Yeah, even if he meant it or not, right? At the end of the day, imagine
Doesn't matter if he doesn't, if he meant it or not. Everybody is going to come out and say, "Oh, they never meant to injure any player or anything."
But if the stamp would have happened, say, in the eyes, it could very well have been in the eyes.
Stamp is a stamp. No matter wherever it happens, stamp is a stamp. So I don't know whether he intended or whatever, but it was a clear stamp, and we all saw that, and he saw that, and I don't know why it was not actually given a red card. It was a complete disgrace. Seriously, don't want to talk about it further.
And this is not the first time, Arun, right? This season, we thought that what was his name? He kicked Bukayo Saka instead of the ball. What's his name? Anyways, we know what we are talking about when he completely missed the ball and kicked Saka in the shins, right? It was again Mike Dean. Yeah. Yeah, McAllister, I guess, right? Crystal Palace game, wasn't it? Where Saka got kicked the shit out of his legs. So Arun, this is not the first time, and we thought that was the worst red card offense that someone escaped, and then they just went like Godfrey escaped another one.
Yeah, so I'll be clear about this, Vijay. Like I do not like talking about refereeing decisions. I especially when we are not playing well.
No, this has nothing to do with this.
I understand. I understand that, but like for me, talking about refereeing decisions is like I understand. We have VAR for the reason that these should not go punished, they should not go unpunished, and there needs to be a consistency. But these kind of things, like you said, this is not the first time that it is happening, and probably not the last time it's going to happen to us either. These are the kind of things that would probably keep happening throughout the season, and it's very unfortunate, that we are at the receiving end of most of these losses. But what I don't understand is the fact that why is the team not already accounting for this and playing the game that way? One simple example is that, when we were playing Atletico under Wenger, I think it was the Europa League semi-finals, if I remember right, where they went down to 10 men, but they still managed to get something out of the game. That was a tactic that Simeone used, thinking that they were at some point in time definitely going to go down to 10 men, and they played with 10 men. If you are not able to account for these things and just keep complaining about it, something that like I said, it's the same narrative, same movie that keeps repeating in loop. When we are not able to control things which are already in our control, I don't see the need talking about some things which are not under our control. Yes, we can say everything that we want about there need to be consistency, standard, and there needing to be proper judgment and definitions and all the decisions and all that. But these things are happening. It's happening for everybody, maybe not to the same extent as it happens to us. So we feel like it's something that it's an injustice against us, but it does happen to everybody. I'm not going to say.
I'll tell you. I think the frustration bubbles from the fact that when such an incident happens and it changes the course of how a game.
He did not. No, that's exactly what I don't want to go into.
See, in both these instances which Vijay brought up today, in McAllister's incident against Crystal Palace and as well as here, it could have potentially changed the game. So if had both of them been red carded, we could have had an advantage. See, whether we would have fluffed it or used it is a different question. Probably looking at the way that we are playing, we most probably will flush it. But
Bob, that's exactly what I don't want to go into.
The thing is, at least it should be fair, right? I'm not saying, we expect favors, but it should have been fair, isn't it?
So so Bob, I get your point. I think I'll just give my opinion on this. I agree. Decisions do change the courses of games. I am not even going to go into we probably played like shit and those decisions would not have mattered. Yes, they do matter, but I just do not want this to be the same thing that we keep complaining about over and over again. it also, for me, in a way, shows the mentality of the team. If you're not able to
Yeah,
put
I'll tell
these
you,
decisions
Arun,
behind,
to counter that point, we are not Manchester City or Chelsea.
we don't have to be. We don't have to be. But these are, when are we going to get there? If we are going to keep complaining that, yes, we are soft, we should have gotten these decisions, and that's why we lost, or we should have gotten these decisions, and that's why the momentum of the game changed. At what point are we going to become the team that we want to? That's my question.
I mean, for me, right, in this situation, there is no point in us discussing this red card any further, because we know what it is, and we know it's a red card. We know that.
For me, I do not. I want to discount all these situations, take them out of the game and play.
And again, right, like I was mentioning, this has nothing to do with how the game turned out or what Arsenal is at the moment, right? It has nothing to do with that Arsenal are in such a bad form. Arsenal are producing results that are very undesirable for everyone. And also, when we are looking at that side of the things, the other side of the things is, I also agree to what Bob is making, right? The point that he is making, that the refereeing decisions are, if this is, we know, and we have been Arsenal fans, have been talking about Mike Dean for quite some time, and we know that he is biased. And the only point what I'm bringing up here is that there is nothing to hold him accountable, and there is nothing that we could say that could change that course. But again, it's just that it is very obvious that there is some bias in the Premier League referee, but that has nothing to do with Arsenal and its performance. So let's move on to the game. Let's talk about the game. As much as we don't want to talk about it, we have to keep doing it, right? So when I saw the team sheet come out, the biggest surprise was Xhaka being back, right? I really wish Deepak was here to talk about Xhaka, but the biggest surprise was Xhaka being back to the side and immediately getting a starting place in the starting 11, right? And we all wanted Auba to be left out of the squad, which happened, which was actually Lacazette came in. Let's talk about the merits and demerits of that later. But Tierney was back, which also something that we wanted, some of us at least wanted. So the starting lineup, apart from Xhaka, was the one that we wanted, right, Bob? And
yeah, so Lokonga was as well back in place of El Neni.
That's what we wanted, Lokonga to be back,
but
Lokonga was not back.
No. So I mean, I didn't turn up for the United review, but El Neni played the game.
Yeah,
against United. Yeah.
Yeah. So Xhaka was back. What was what was a pretty much predicted lineup, except for the Xhaka surprise. So the manager, we don't have any complaints on that regard, do we?
Don't think so. No.
But again, the what I'm trying to put is, right, we had a set of play. We had a set of games where we played in a certain way, right? We know when Arteta came out, the whole Xhaka dropping to the left back, Tierney being the furthest forward and crossing, passing to Tierney and then Tierney crossing and us trying to score. This set of play was discarded for a stretch of games that we looked really, really good. When Xhaka was not available, when Tierney was not available, I'm not saying these are the players that has to be blamed, but we looked to be moving on from that set of play. But the last couple of games, when we brought El Neni back, when we have brought Xhaka back, this set of play is back again. Is it a personal issue or is it an Arteta tactical issue?
Who's this question to?
I thought it was for you. I thought you were taking it.
Bob, yes,
okay.
It's for you.
Okay.
I'm waiting for your response. I've been waiting to listen to you.
I'm actually dumbstruck by what to answer.
Actually, that was the reason why I kept quiet as well. So
I'll tell you. See, I think what I'm seeing pattern in last few games, I'm not judging based on just the last few games as such. Right from the first game that we played, we've not established a clear pattern of play. Like what it goes back around to some of the points which Arun made. I mean, we don't have personnel to cause a significant impact on the opposition, whoever we are going to face, without relying upon anything extraordinary to happen during that day. Yeah, we've not identified the strengths in every of these players to put in a set of 11 and come back with the result that we desire, or at least go on to frustrate the opposition in case things don't go on our way. Yeah, classic example is Atletico. They always put out teams to frustrate others. And then if they manage to actually perform well, they go on to nick wins. Yeah. And it circles around to the fact that whose problem it would become the manager's issue, because the manager is ultimately responsible for putting together a set of players who could execute his game plan. And if they are not able to do so for whatever reason, then he is to be taking the blame. It's not the person on the pitch, because they can play and all those sort of things. They can be creative and everything. I mean, come on, again, these set of players are not creative enough by themselves to actually perform their own actions.
But Bob, correct me if I'm wrong here, Bob, but more than I think the ability, I think it's the mentality that's pulling people down completely.
Yeah, so see, Oba has been scoring quite a lot. I know we will be touching upon that quite later. Now he's missing sitters. Somewhere something is going wrong. And if you don't look at it, it could go deeper. Some of the wins that we've achieved or that we are going to achieve in the next few games or so will mask all the issues, and suddenly everything would become normal. But it can't happen. Tactically, you can't keep doing one thing right and then go back doing it wrong completely in the next game. That's not what's consistent. You have to keep repeating the same set of tasks, everything. You have to.
Well, they are doing it. They are repeating the same mistakes game after game.
Yeah.
See, Bob, I get what you're saying, right? I get what you're saying, that we are not doing the right things. We are doing. So that's the two part of it, right?
No, it's basically, if I understand right, we are not doing things consistently. We are not doing the same right things consistently. There's a huge jump between game and game, both in terms of how we set up on the pitch as well as how we perform.
See, that's the thing, right? We are doing certain things consistently that we don't want to see consistently, right? That is the problem. When we are just a couple of weeks back, just before the international break, we had Aston Villa game. We had the Leicester game, where in this podcast, we talked about how good we look in that 20 minutes, or how are we going to sustain that 20 minutes of dominance to the whole game, right? In Spurs game, we played well for 20 minutes. In Leicester game, we played well for 20 minutes. And when we say we played well for 20 minutes, we didn't play the whole, pass it to the Tierney and then throw in a cross. That was not the tactics. That was a tactics of last year Arsenal. Last year when we were in the funk Arsenal. Why are we reverting back to that Arsenal is my problem, Arun, right? So the thing that we are doing consistently is, when we go back to our default setting is doing the donut of sadness and then passing to Tierney and trying to throw that cross, or doing all the million back passes with no intention of a forward pass. There was no vertical movement in this game, which was the problem that we discussed last year, which was the problem that we discussed when Arteta took over.
And 12 months on, we're discussing the same thing.
And we have been, it's going to be 2 years around. Arteta has taken over Arsenal, and it's going to be 2 years. It's not 1 year. It is going to be 2 years since he took over, and we have been discussing that we are not doing a vertical passing. The consistency is that we are not doing vertical passing. We are doing the whole same mistakes back again and again and again. But we keep finding solutions for it, and we are not building upon that, right? We keep finding solutions, and we are not building upon that.
I really don't know if we found any solution yet. That's my thing. I do not know if we did find a solution, there would be some consistency and we would be seeing it on the pitch regularly. like you said, if the maximum that we're able to be good for in a game is 20 minutes, and we are not able to sustain that consistently over a set of games.
No, even in that 20 minutes, right? My problem is that the good part in the 20 minutes was us doing the vertical passing. Good part in those 20 minutes was that we were doing something more. That some things were working. We were passing through the middle. We were doing a lot more than just being one-dimensional football team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're not able to do that consistency. So that's what makes me think. Because the thing is, like, any big team, any good team, any team that is like going on to win things, they don't do things. They don't do anything differently. They're not going to reinvent the wheel. If at all they change the plans, if at all they change a tactic, if at all they have a defined strategy as to how they want to play, they keep at it. They are consistent at it. Like they're not going to change it, and it's about like doing the same things over and over again that gets you where you want to, and that's what those teams do. Football is, when you look at it that way, it's very simple. You have defined set of plays. You just make sure that you practice your defined set of plays, and you're able to find the players at the right positions at the right time. That's all you have to do. In the kind of play that we are having right now, I cannot say over these like 11 or 13 games that we've played, I cannot say the same pattern has repeated consistently across multiple games, even for that 10-minute period or so. The game against Tottenham, we scored 3 goals. Yes, but that was also because of how bad Tottenham were. The game against Villa is the only game where I can think seriously that we actually had something going on well on the pitch. But if that consistency is going to go down the drain, the moment you get beaten by a big team, then what is your plan there? Like, it's a different thing that you try to play differently against a big team and grind out a result, or you can play your same method, trust your instincts and see if it works. Either way, it's good. It shows something that the manager is trying to do, either sticking on to his guns or playing to the opposition. But in spite of playing against the oppositions and maybe like getting beaten the way we did, if you're not going to stick onto your guns, if you're not going to like either sit back, and if you go to teams like United and Everton that are there for the taking, and then you're not able to do things, what is the answer? I mean, like, I don't think we have found an answer to the first situation.
There's also a mentality issue where I found,
mentality is the biggest issue.
That is the part which I don't understand.
When we face Liverpool, we shit ourselves. When we face United, even though they are in deep shit, we still shit ourselves.
That's the part, Bob. Like, for me, that's the part that I don't understand. Especially after this Godfrey incident, the players should have been like, even if not in the first half, during the halftime, someone should go and like show, look what they're doing to us. And that should kind of galvanize the team. That should make the players go like, let's go, let's get this. Why is that not happening?
Let's think about the Wenger team, and like when Sanchez was there, he was like sort of the pit bull. Like he was the one who always was showing intent no matter what. Maybe that changed towards the end of his like tenure at Arsenal, but for most parts, I think we all can agree that for probably 90% of the time that he was with us, he is in levels of intent and like what he wanted to do, no matter who the opposition was, which unmatched by anyone else in the team. Maybe like when Cazorla played, he did have that same intensity, the drive that he wanted to do do not have
Fabregas as well.
Yeah, the last parts. But right now I cannot name one person. Like maybe Martinelli, but Martinelli is still young. Like you can think about all the youngsters that we have and like, watch all the bench cams and watch all the side cams and all that. Like Kieran Tierney yelling for people to pass the ball to him, or like Odegaard having a great game and then doing things and all that. But if you are not able to do that, this is a growing pain. I agree. We are going to make mistakes, but making mistakes is one thing, and doing the simple things right is another thing. Simple things consistently right is another thing. We are not out of the making mistakes. That seems to be a track that is going in its own separate way. We seem to be making the same mistakes over and over again. Or at least one good thing might be the same youngsters are not making the same mistakes over and over again. But this track where we have to keep doing the right things consistently, that is not starting at all. Like, I would want there to be a balance between these two, and we are not finding a balance, maybe due to people not having that intent. Like I said, yeah, he runs at people, he presses, but is that really the intent that is like, that you want to see on the pitch? That's my thing. Like intent is not just about, there should be like some method to your madness. If you're just going to be going and pressing people, like hoping for them to make a mistake every single time without there nothing happening behind you, what is the point? You're just like running at people.
I know this podcast is going like with no direction or like
It
nothing.
probably like resembles Arsenal season so far.
Yeah, but because like we are so frustrated, we are just trying to put our frustration out. What we are trying is just
Ultimately, who would you blame? Arun?
The management. I would like to start with the management. No, I would like to start with the owners, the previous managers, and everything that happened around, and then like that's how my line of if we were to point fingers, that's how I would go.
So that's the part.
We know that Kroenkes are not going to change.
Yeah, and then like we cannot go back and change what Wenger and that management team did, or what Emery and the second management team. We are not going to be able to do that. We can agree that it's like years of rot, but then it's a process that's going to take time. But like show us something that you're fixing the mold, you're taking the mold off.
So Bob, actually Arun touched upon the point that I was struggling to get to, right? So in the let's go back in time, right? Like let's see when let's start from when Leicester won the league, right? That was a lucky season for us that we finished second, right? We did not merit to finish second in that season. We finished second in a 2-horse race that Tottenham fluffed, right? But still, lucky season for us during that time was us finishing second, right? And then Emery came in. The lucky season for us was that we finished fifth. That season we had, although we could say, oh, we could have made fourth. No, we were nowhere near top 4 in that season. We were lucky to finish fifth in that season, right? We could have easily been a 7th or 8th team in that season. And after that, we have finished 7th, 8th, 8th. So my question is, this team right now, this squad right now, if you take just the talent, where would this team finish?
We'll be lucky to finish 7th this season.
Right? If
that's how we are regressing ourselves.
Yeah. So no. Take away the fact about regression and everything, right? Just as a squad, where would this squad finish? What is the potential of this squad?
7th.
Arun, do you agree that this squad has a potential to finish 7th?
7th, yeah. I hope they finish 7th. I don't want to go below that.
No. I'm not talking about us finishing, right? I'm just talking about the potential of the squad. Like, what is the potential of the squad?
7th or 8th, I would say.
Right. So Bob, if this squad potential is to finish 7th, and if this manager is finishing 8th with this squad, the squad potential is to finish 7th, and the manager is making the squad finish 8th or 7th or 6th, right? Which means he is barely meeting the potential of the squad. A manager should be able to enhance the potential of the squad.
No. Okay, I'll answer this question in a different way. Potential and what's happening are two different things. This squad even have the potential to finish first. It's just a mentality.
Oh, come on, Bob. This squad cannot finish first.
Come on, you're just judging by what's happening in front of you. If you talk about individuals,
even as an individual, like name me players who could get into Manchester City.
Doesn't turn up from sky. Superstars get molded and they actually just perform.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not. I'm not talking about where they could end up with. Like Bukayo Saka could end up as a world class, but is he world class right now? No, he's not.
Just because he's not been molded properly. Yeah, that's simple enough.
That's not the question, Bob. That's not the question.
And whose fault is that? Is that the players' fault that they are not able to perform to their levels, or is that the manager's fault?
But again, right, the questions are two different questions. This squad, where could it finish, is the question. Which means right now, on their talent right now, where would the team
what's
finish?
On display, I'm saying that they could finish 7th.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is the potential
because
of the squad right now.
You have to take into consideration who they are being coached under, or what's their current plan and all those sort of things. If I were to say the same squad is going to be coached by, for example,
let's say Klopp or
Conte.
Yeah,
Conte, for example.
Mm-hmm.
This squad has the potential to finish 5th out, put forth, because that man extracts the juice out of everyone. He's got the reputation of doing that.
Exactly.
Right.
So that is pushing the squad's limit. Like currently the squad's limit is 7th, and he would good manager could push it to 8th or 5th. Sorry,
he could be smart enough in identifying what each one's strengths and weakness are, and he could set up the teams in that way to perform to their abilities.
So we are making the same point. So the manager is underutilizing the potential of the squad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The results are evident with that. I'm not talking nonsense here. I'm talking based on what we are seeing in front of us.
So the next question is, does the manager warrant a sack? Not just because of this game, not because of this run, but this is what is happening. So does this manager warrant a sack?
See, I'll be a realist, and I'll say we could take a call towards the end of the Christmas period in terms of where we stand halfway, because we don't have any distraction of any other European games or any other injuries or all those sort of things added to it. It's a very realistic expectation. I'm not being pessimistic in saying that the manager should be booted out by Christmas. No, I don't say that. The manager still has the potential to turn around, and my confidence in him, although keeps diminishing every game that he plays, I feel that, if we establish what is there left in each of these players that we can put together, he can still deliver better results than what he is doing at the moment. But my practical expectation is that we don't do a knee jerk and we don't change the manager at the moment, because there is no one available. When all these big clubs opened up for looking after new managers, none of them put their hat up. Even the so touted Erik ten Hag and everyone, no one has been made himself available for any of these big clubs. And when they have got opportunities to go into big clubs and they've turned it down, why is that they would choose to come to Arsenal of everyone else? As much as a lesser attraction it is for the players, it is a lesser attraction for the managers as well. So we would end up having anyone in a similar pedigree or even lesser, or someone who's been proving themselves in another league, and they would face the same issues as what Emery faced, communication with the players. And then that would cause a breakdown. You would eventually end up in the same vicious cycle every time. So my point is, stick around to Christmas, but you're not going to get any good managers that you or the fans are looking for.
Okay. I get that point, Arun, especially about Arteta, right? I am very, very concerned in a different way, right? All the good things about Arteta are potentials. Like we don't see actual growth. We don't have, because he's a new manager, we don't have anything to compare to. Like there is no instances for us to go back and say, oh yeah, he goes through this funk always and then he gets out. Like Bob brought in Conte in the discussion. Like if Tottenham are not getting out after 2 years, he's going to walk away and we are going to say, oh, he didn't work out, right? Because we know that Conte is 2 years manager, right? He works in 2 years. That's how he works. Because we know that what he has done at Chelsea, what he has done in Italian league, we know what all these things. But all the good things about Arteta, we are saying that he could be in the next Pep. He could be a tactical genius. He could be doing this. All this are could be, right? And anything that we see on the pitch or anything we see with the numbers doesn't seem to point to that. Tell me I am being too pessimistic in this situation.
No, you're right. I mean, like we're comparing managers who are not at the same level in either experience or their achievements. I'm sorry, burping early in the morning. I'm really, really sorry about that. I should be more
Professional.
Professional and classy, right? But the thing is, like, I think we are trying to compare a manager who has, who has won the league to a manager who's trying to.
No, I'm not
things out.
I'm not comparing.
No, even in terms of what they can actually potentially do. Like you said, like you all have something that a Conte has done before that would give you the confidence that even if he goes into a rut, he's definitely going to be able to pull things back because we have data from the past that supports it. With Arteta, that was a huge risk that we were taking. Like you said, could be potential. That was the word that we were using. Arteta, again, if we were to say that, maybe Arteta could become a great manager in the future for all the potential that he has right now. But we wanted someone who could probably turn things around right away. That was what the fans wanted. Maybe that's not how things work in football. We were made to see that, and it also based on the interviews that the upper management and the board were giving. It seemed like they were vested in a project that was not going to come into fruition right away, but over 3 or 4 years. Now, given all that, I do not know if they were trying to set our expectations low by selling us a project that could come into fruition in 3 or 4 years and appointing a rookie manager who probably would learn on the job, make mistakes, and get us to where we want to be. Now, do we see anything that shows us that we could possibly be challenging for the title in 3 or 4 seasons? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I didn't want to counter Bob on his point about like the potential of this team being title challenging because potential is not just your physical ability and what you do on the pitch, but it's also your mental ability. Whether it comes to a player from a manager or he gets it by himself, that potential is not in that team right now. You know, so given all this and given that it seems like it's going to be a building project, the more I see this, as it's a crazy conspiracy theory, and I wish that this is not true. I see this as another reason for the owners to actually keep the fans, like a little happy by selling them a project that may or may not come true. At which point, in 3 or 4 years, they just have a way out of the club. They probably would try to increase the value of the club to a certain extent, and maybe they're leaving. That's a crazy conspiracy theory, but that's what I'm thinking. Because if there is no change in mentality, what is going to change really? What is like? It's not like we've not had high quality players before. We've had a lot of high quality players before, but we're just finding ourselves in the same situation over and over again. I do not even think it's down to Arteta anymore. Like I like it's always been the management, but if the management is making an Arteta appointment, what does what how do I put it? What does it tell me that they would be able to make not repeat the same mistakes, but make a better appointment in the future?
But Arun, see, for me, that point is somewhat of contention because management has done some things, and management, including Arteta, has some things. That is why in I think in Arsenal Vision podcast they mentioned, or somewhere else, not in Arsenal Vision, somewhere else I heard that Arteta would make a better Ralph Ragnick kind of role than a coach or a manager role because he has identified the
Then again,
mentality
it's
issues.
true. Then it's a thing that that the management is making a mistake with, right?
Yeah,
That's
but
that's where
again,
I'm saying. Like, I do not know if the blame is like down to one single person, or if it's just like this project that do we believe in this or not. I think it's just like consistency is what would make me believe. But then I don't want that consistency to stop on December 28th after that match, and Jan 1st we go to City and then we get battered again. That's not the consistency that I'm expecting. We are discounting the games against the big six because we know that there are winnable games that we have to win to get to where we want to. If we are not able to put up a performance in these winnable games that we are supposed to win, then there's no point in discounting all that we are, like the way in which we are losing against the top teams. Like it has to balance each other out. But we're not seeing that right now. That's what I'm saying. I do not know if it's mentality, if it's like potential, if it's like what it is. I am still not like, but from in my head, I just see it as a movie that keeps repeating. I'm stuck in it for the last 20 years, and I don't know a way out of it. I'm sure all of us would agree to it. Since 2006, we've been stuck in the same loop. And
yeah, I'll tell you, Inception movie paints a very parallel picture to what we are discussing. Takes us into dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams. I don't know what level of dreams that I'm in at the moment, or any of you guys are, but we are still living in such sort of fantasy things.
But there is one dream that we have to talk about, Bob. Although we never talked about the Everton game, and we kind of went on a rant about the manager, the club, and
Just one
everything.
thing, Bob. In Bill Murray, one thing, Vijay, Bill Murray learns something every day, and at the end of it, finds his purpose, and gets out of the loop. I don't know. We have not found our purpose, or even if we found our purpose, I don't know if we know, what we need to be learning. So yeah, Groundhog Day all over again.
But again, okay. So we have not talked about the Everton game. We have talked things in general, but that is expected after such a defeat. But we do have to talk about the upcoming game against Southampton. Bob,
Do we?
Good question. But Bob, do you see any changes in the team for Southampton?
Home game, I'm expecting things. I mean, this is the same Arsenal fan in me. So I'm expecting things will be different this time. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is what Arsenal has done.
Arun, do you see any changes in the team?
Changes in the team.
Martinelli might be out because of his injury.
Oh, okay. Changes in the team. I wouldn't be surprised if Aubameyang comes back.
Okay.
That's the only change that I see.
After
that miss,
one of his best goals against Everton.
No, I mean, like the replacement was hardly involved in anything that happened in the game. I mean, like at some point, until I saw Lacazette drop down to the midfield and pick the ball up, I didn't even know he was actually playing the game. So yeah, I mean, like in that situation, knowing what Arteta usually does, I think he's going to probably bring Aubameyang back. And if Martinelli is not playing and he did not have another goal threat, then I see, though Aubameyang doesn't score, I think he's going to come back. I don't see Pepe coming back.
Was going to touch upon that.
No, I don't see.
No, we are not talking about any players because I don't want to.
No, from giving looks like this to that look from the bench that is doing the rounds now, Pepe has fallen a lot. I don't think he's going to play in any form. But maybe one thing that I'd be interested to see is whether Xhaka continues or Sambi comes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. But I think pretty much the team picks itself. The rest of the team picks itself.
Okay, so Bob, we'll skip everything else. We'll not talk about the tactics. We're not talking about anything else because there is nothing.
We've not figured out anything at all. We thought we did, but it just seems like we're stupids talking about the game every week, and things keep changing every week.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the danger men or whatever that is, right? So let's just skip ahead and say what your prediction is. Right?
2-1 the Arsenal.
2-1 to the Arsenal. Do you want to predict something else, as in who the scorers are going to be or something like that? No.
None of us can do, man. Honestly, none of us can do.
Arun, do you want to do it?
1-1 all.
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
So this is
the thing is, we'll score a goal and seeing what has been happening, we'll probably sit back, fail to attack. They'll definitely get one back, and then we'll try the hustle that we usually do over the last 5-10 minutes, miss a couple of chances, and end the game 1-1.
This has been one of the most difficult parts to record, and actually I had so much written in the notes for this one actually, but I never used anything because we never talked about anything in general.
Honestly, to me, my groundhog was City final that we spoke about, because we didn't even know who were going to be signed up before the end of that window.
No.
And we had almost 35 games to play. Mm-hmm. This looks much easier to me, I would say.
Which means
because we are not in the bottom half of the table. Look at it that way, guys.
This is coming from the matured Arsenal fan who has accepted the defeat that Arsenal is this. So we are not yet there, Bob. We are not yet there. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining in. I mean, it has been a horrible week since the defeat, and at least talking about it with you guys have been, somewhat not necessarily made it better, but somewhat relieving that, okay, I've got things out of my chest. At least that's what I feel about it. But
I think like Arsenal fans would probably be the people who love support groups the most. I think we are the ones who always need support groups all the time. So
yeah, this really has been like a support group experience. But I don't want to
therapy for fans, right? Yeah,
therapy for fans. Yeah, that's what we should be calling ourselves. But thank you guys, thank you for joining, and for all the listeners. I mean, if you guys want to add something, if you want to discuss something, do add it in our comments. And I know it has been a very difficult phase for Arsenal fans, and you guys are listening to us, and thank you so much for that. And like, share, and subscribe as always.
Also, if you guys are not listening, we totally understand your frustration as well. So we just like say, like, come on, let's not give up. We are trying to put more pods together, so you can continue supporting us like by listening to more pods. I know it's difficult, but let's be in this together.
Yeah, and there should be an end to all this thing, right? Because there is a
hope.
beginning. There is a beginning in 2006, 7, or 2010, whichever you want to call it. So there should be an end somewhere for Arsenal, for this funk, or for Arsenal fans ourselves. So we, on that cheery note, thank you guys for joining. And like, share, and subscribe, and do comment on whatever you feel that we should be discussing further. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.